everybody, and welcome to another edition of Proline. This is our NFL recap edition. Lots to recap from the next to last week of the NFL regular season as we head to the finish line. Basketball as well in full swing, although kind of a week off for a lot of the colleges. Anyway, let's get to it. I'm Dave Cokin. Jim Feist is here. We'll tell you a few things about what we've got going. Jim, good Sunday for you. Real strong with the Seahawks. Very easy winner. Saints and Cowboys. Boy, they got revved up and scored a bunch of points, went over. So, nice finish to the week for you.
Thanks, Dave. Yes, that was very good. Strong weekend on Sunday was great. 4-2 in basketball. Top play with the Clippers. For Christmas Day, I have a high roller NBA powerhouse total plus a marquee TV game of the month. That's at jimfeist.tv. My bowl game of the year goes on Friday. This is a big one. I love this game. You just call my office at 1-866-841-1655. I love these bowl games when I isolate one big game like this, Dave. I do very well with them. Bowl game of the year goes Friday. Big matchups on Christmas Day. Make sure you make the call, 1-866-841-1655. Dave, you had a pretty big week yourself. Wow. I know you're red hot. You said your numbers are clicking. Things are going good. When you get on a roll, it feels good.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of like you get in situations where you almost... I had a game yesterday that I didn't use. This is on Sunday, I should say. UTEP was playing... I forget who they were playing now. Oh, Nebraska. And I already had... a few other games going, and I might want to play UTEP. I didn't play it, even the games I'm not playing are winning. So, I mean, that's how good it is right now. I was plus, if you add in my late plays, my big offshores, I think we were plus about 25 games last week. That's a big week. Okay, that's a really big week. So
that's what you say. That's sick. That's good sick. Sick
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and it's fun right now, and I might be the only person around who's like, "What do you mean there's nobody playing? I don't like this holiday stuff. I need games, all right? Because when you're this hot, you want to keep playing." What I'm going to do is I have my annual birthday special every year. My birthday's in January, and what I've always done is take my age, and that's the price for the whole month. You get all my action plays for the whole month in all sports. The problem is, I'm going to be 60 now. I don't know. That might be too much to charge. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a half my age birthday special, okay? So you're going to get it for $30. You get all my action plays for the entire month of January. Now, January, of course, hasn't started yet. So what about the rest of December? I'm going to put that in. You're going to get that included. You're going to get all my action plays in all sports through January 31st for half my age, $30. That's a good deal. And the way I'm going right now, you'll make that back in about an hour, okay? The rest will all be gravy. So make the call, 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. By the way, my bowl game of the year, I haven't decided on my bowl game of the year yet. There are two real strong considerations, and I haven't really decided which one yet. That'll be included. So 1-866-896-1629. All right, so we take a look at, well, let's first look at what happened this past Sunday in the NFL. And the game, you had the winner. I did not get involved in the 49ers-Seahawks game. I kind of leaned Seattle, but I didn't want to lay the points. You didn't have any doubts about it, Jim. You had a big play on Seattle, and it couldn't have been easier. What are you seeing? I mean, I'm seeing them as very possibly the best team in the league right now. Are you as well?
Well, of course, after last night's performance, you have to say that. If you look at the previous 2 weeks, they really didn't beat anybody of significance the previous 2 weeks when they scored, 58 and 50 points. But their defense is real. They definitely have a Super Bowl quality defense. No question about it. They have a Super Bowl quality running game. And we had a lot of mystery about who is Russell Wilson and, what's he capable of, and why is Pete Carroll picking him over Flynn, who they paid a lot of money to get from Green Bay. But now we know why. For my money, he's the best rookie quarterback out there. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. I mean, I really think Luck is going to be a tremendous quarterback for a long time. I do not believe that RG3 is going to have a long career. I think he's too prone to putting himself in harm's way. And until he learns that he can't battle 250 to 350 pound people that are going to cripple him and slow him down, Russell Wilson doesn't do that. He gets himself out of trouble. He doesn't look to hit people. Maybe because he's smaller, he realizes that he has to be a little bit more careful with his body. That maybe. He's very smart. Yeah, they're for real. They very well could be easily the best team in the NFL at this moment. Because all your other teams, and Seattle, of course, they all have flaws. This is not a league of A teams. This is a league of B-plus teams at the top and D-minus, E-minus teams at the bottom. I mean, the teams at the bottom are absolutely horrible. Got a lot of rookie quarterbacks out there, a lot of young players. This is a kind of a transition period for the NFL. We're talking about who won the Super Bowl the last few years. You had Eli twice, you had Roethlisberger twice, you had Breeze, and you had Aaron Rodgers. Well, out of all those guys, Aaron Rodgers is the only one going to be in the playoffs. The rest of them are gone. And you got a lot of rookies, a couple rookies that could be in the playoffs. So it's going to be quite interesting.
But you just mentioned
last week, San Francisco was a very physical football team.
Yep.
Went to New England, and they beat up on New England for half, and then they changed their defensive schemes, and New England caught fire. And they came back and tied it, but they ran out of gas. But their defense was on the field for 92 plays in that game. They had to travel across country to the Eastern time zone to play the game, come back, then had to go to Seattle in bad weather. And they have a rookie quarterback, too, because they benched Smith.
For all intents.
So I thought that was a great spot for Seattle, a team who doesn't lose at home, number one. Number two is a revenge spot. Number three, they're fighting to get in the playoffs. And San Francisco's new going in. They're in the playoffs. And that's the whole scenario is why I like Seattle. And I think Seattle there's a group of teams that could be the best team this year and win the Super Bowl. And they are definitely one of them. And at this moment, the surging Green Bay Packers are starting to get a lot of interest from people. There's some question marks about their defense, their running game. Nobody's going to question their passing game. Aaron Rodgers, the wide receivers, if they're healthy, are tremendous. They have the pedigree also. But if you look at it, I mean, in the beginning of the year, they played San Francisco at home and lost to them. And then they played up in Seattle. In the early part of the year, Seattle was a different team, but they really beat Seattle in that game. And the replacement refs gave it to Seattle. So I think that group of NFC teams are very capable. I do not think Atlanta is tough enough to beat these guys. But I do think when you look at San Francisco, Seattle, Green Bay, they'd be my three choices out of the NFC. What do you see, Dave?
Well, it's one of the ironies of this season that the team that right now is playing the best ball in the league is Seattle. I don't think anybody can argue that. Over the past 3 weeks, they've clearly been the best team in the league. And the irony is, they're in the playoffs now. But had it not been for that ridiculous call by the replacement refs that gave them the win against Green Bay, they would still be fighting for a playoff spot right now. They'd only be 9-6. So, that play could still impact who wins the Super Bowl this year. Because again, as well as Seattle's playing, they would right now be in a virtual tie for the last spot in the playoffs. Instead, they've clinched at 10-5. So don't forget things that happened. That was against Green Bay. The Packers, I don't care who you're playing in the NFL. When you win that convincingly, you're sharp. And the Packers look like they're getting really sharp at the end of the season. That said, they have a very tough game this week at Minnesota, and it's still a meaningful game, not only to the Vikings for obvious reasons, but to the Packers as well, because Green Bay, with a win, will clinch a bye. And you can be sure they want that bye week. Another team that clinched yesterday, and they did it on the road. I had them. I thought the Bengals were the better team going in yesterday against Pittsburgh, and they are better than Pittsburgh. It's that simple. The Steelers, it's going to be odd to see the Steelers out of this thing, but they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They're just not that good. They've gotten old. The Bengals are an interesting team, and I am looking forward to the game this weekend. The Ravens still need this win to clinch the division. If they don't get this game, Cincinnati can knock them out of that and end up winning that division. No, that's not. I got that wrong. The Ravens have already won the division. I beg your pardon. And the Bengals are in the wild card. So, I guess what I meant to say is it takes some of the luster off that game. Otherwise, it would have been huge. But I think both teams are still going to want to win it. The cool thing about this week that's coming up, Jim, is that even though the playoffs are basically set in the AFC, we know who's in there. The 6 teams have clinched. The NFC, it's still wide open. I mean, outside of the Falcons, nothing else is settled at this point. So we got some really big games to finish the season, and that makes things fun.
Well, Dave, in reality, San Francisco and Seattle are settled. I mean, in reality, Arizona's not going to beat San Francisco.
No, but San Francisco can still get the bye week with a win if Green Bay loses to Minnesota. And, obviously the Vikings are going to be playing that game for their playoff lives. That is the biggest game of the schedule, is Green Bay, Minnesota. So the 49ers still have to go out there and win the game this weekend.
Yeah, they will. Arizona's a pathetic football team.
Yes, they are.
They're not going to beat San Francisco. They're already a 15 or 16 point underdog in the game at this moment. Not that can't happen, but it's not going to happen.
No.
One thing that we know about Jim Harbaugh, he's a very intense guy. He's not going to be happy with the performance they just gave.
They're horrible.
And, that was an embarrassment to him. They were still pounding their chest after going to New England and winning that game. And they forgot the fact that they were on a team, on a field with another team that's good, just as good as they are.
I'll tell you something. The reality is their last 6 quarters haven't been very good. They were up 31-3 in the New England game, and they won it, but they also blew a 31-3 lead en route to winning it, and then they got smoked yesterday. So their last game and a half, not exactly what you want heading into the playoffs. They actually need to play a good football game this Sunday.
Smith was out on their defensive line. That's a big loss. They lost Manningham last night to an injury. That could be a very big loss to them in the wide receiver position. Injuries do take their toll. It's huge. But I don't see – I'm missing something. What is the reason that what's the motivation for Baltimore and Cincinnati here in this game?
There isn't one, really.
I don't see any reason for these teams to put out a tremendous effort. Now, granted, they're going to go play the football game. Somebody's going to win.
Yeah.
But I still have to find the rationale behind the motivation of either team here.
Well,
now it's going to come down to coaching philosophy also. I mean, what team wants to put out? And Indianapolis, for example, has absolutely zero motivation. They're locked into the fifth position. There's only one place out with a line on the Houston-Indianapolis game, and that's they have the Houston Texans 4.5 on the road at Indianapolis. Pagano comes back as the coach this week for Indianapolis, but they can't improve their position. They're locked into the 5 spot,
right,
which means they're going to go on the road to either New England or Denver in the next game, in the wild card game. Now, it comes down to the coaches making a decision. Do I really want to put people at risk? Do I really want to put out a big effort? It's the right thing to do because it adds integrity to the league, but most of the time people just worry about themselves. Houston has a reason to play this game.
I'll give you one thing in the Baltimore game, and I'm not going to guarantee that I'll play the game, but this is going to be only their 3rd game with Jim Caldwell calling the plays on offense. Now, they did a lot better yesterday. They were horrible in his first game. Didn't make use of Ray Rice at all. Much better yesterday. Good win for the Ravens against a Giants team that's given up. But I think Baltimore would probably still I think they want to get this offense in sync. So I think from that standpoint, for them, there's some importance to this game. Not necessarily to win the game, but to get another good offensive performance as they head into the playoffs. Cincinnati could flatten out. I mean, this game means nothing to them, and they, in effect, won their playoff game yesterday. That got them into the playoffs. Baltimore was going to make the playoffs anyway. This was huge for Cincinnati to go in and win in overtime on the road. So I think there is the possibility that the Bengals could have a bit of a letdown here. And it's not like they're a dominating team anyway. They're not a team, let's just put it this way. When they put the decibel meter on in Cincinnati as opposed to Seattle, not exactly the same place. In fact, I don't even know if the Bengals will sell out because they generally don't. So that may be a spot where you get a little bit of value in a game that otherwise doesn't mean anything with the road team.
I'm looking at this, David, as you'd speak. The Texans are 12-3. Right now, they're in the number 1 position. Broncos are 12-3, and they're in the Broncos are 12-3 in their number 2 position. If the Texans would lose and Broncos would win, they would flip-flop.
Right. The Broncos are going to win.
If the Patriots win, Texans would fall to 3rd because the Patriots beat them.
Yep. It's a big game for Houston.
So, this game doesn't see the Ravens are sitting at the 4th position, the 4th division champion, at 10-5.
They can't move.
They can't unless the only way they move up is if New England were to lose.
Right. Unlikely.
And that I don't see happening. So, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, New England has not played all that well the last 2 weeks.
No, in
Miami goes in there and beats them? Yeah, it's possible.
The Dolphins will play hard in that game.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of bad weather, Dave, on the East Coast this week on Sunday. You might be looking at some rain, snow. You're going to be looking at some high winds, I believe, on the East Coast, pretty much everywhere. But I don't see real motivation for the Colts, or not the Colts, the Ravens is not there. It's just not there. But if they feel that they can jump up, but they have defensive injuries. They're hoping Ray Lewis comes back. I think a lot of these coaches are going to be looking to protect their players, especially if they have to play the very next week. If they know they're going to have a bye, they may not want to get too stale. They might play a little bit more. That's sort of what's happened in the past.
What do you do with the games between Well, just give you an example. Do you bother to look at games like the Jets-Bills game, or do you just say, you know what, it's like an exhibition, I'm going to stay out of it?
I'm glad, the Jets are, I'm perplexed about them. I know everybody in the country talks about this Tim Tebow crap and all that. I mean, he's not even a football player, for God's sake. He doesn't get on the field.
Can't play
He doesn't get on the field. I mean, I don't know why the Jets took him. I don't know why they played around with him the whole year. I don't know why the media covers it.
They gave up a fourth and a sixth to him.
I think Boomer Esiason was right. He's a waste of a roster spot. Now, I'm not criticizing the man. Tim Tebow, the man, I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing him as a football player. I'm criticizing the Jets for taking him and putting him on the roster for no good reason whatsoever.
Well, the coach doesn't want
him. Now, maybe he goes to Jacksonville and becomes a player down there. I'm not going to say he can't be. I mean, we know he's a physical specimen.
I'll say he can't be.
He can play football. I don't know that he can ever play quarterback. There's something very dysfunctional about the Jets. It's a very dysfunctional team. Their quarterbacks got sacked 11 times yesterday. 11 times. I'm surprised there wasn't an ambulance there to take him off the field.
Oh, that was by the Chargers. That was by San Diego.
Not exactly the team in the country to be doing that.
No. Look, people get mad at me. The Tebow fans get mad at me because they think it's something personal. Tim Tebow seems to me to be a very nice guy. It's not personal.
I think
he can't play at this level. Anything, okay? Maybe, I don't know that he can even make a roster as a special teamer. He's not a running back. He's not a receiver. He's not a defensive player. Now, what role does he have? He's not nearly as good as a wild card threat as somebody like Brad Smith because he's not fast. He's won wherever he's gone. That's a myth, okay? He didn't win in Denver. The team happened to win. And by the way, they lost 4 out of his last 5 games. And the reason they lost was Tebow, quite frankly, because teams figured out that all you have to do is keep him in the pocket, and he's completely helpless. He doesn't make good decisions. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it. He might be smart in everyday life. I don't know. I've never talked to him. But he's not a smart quarterback. He doesn't have the ability to make split-second decisions that good quarterbacks have to make in the National Football League. And he has no idea on how to handle blitzes. None. He just isn't an NFL quarterback. And we're already seeing the stuff, well, Jacksonville's going to go get him because the owner loves him. Well, then it'll be more of the same for Jacksonville. They're already one of the worst teams in the league, and they'll guarantee they stay that way. I'm right on this, okay? I'm wrong on lots of stuff. I'm right on this. I was very critical of the Jets when they traded away a 4th and a 6th to get this guy. It's like, are you crazy? You're trading away 2 of your 7 draft picks to get Tebow in, and, well, so far I'd say I'm right. So, yeah.
Well, it's a disaster. Dave, maybe we should focus a little bit on the teams that have some potential to move on.
All right.
This Dallas-Washington game looks to be about the most important game on the card, and I think it's been flexed to Sunday night.
Yeah, it was either them or Minnesota Green Bay. So.
Yeah, but I do think they took Dallas and Washington and flexed them to late.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it says it right there. They go at 5:30 Pacific time.
There was a heck of a battle for that, by the way. Fox did not want to give up the game. But that's showbiz. Fox or CBS, I'm not sure. Whoever's got the NFC. I think it's Fox. It's a huge game. And the Redskins, they were lucky to get out of Dodge with a win yesterday because, Nick Foles did a nice job for the Eagles at the end of that game. They're down 2 touchdowns. They cut it to 1, and then Foles missed a wide-open Macklin in the end zone. Wide open. He underthrew him. Otherwise, they're still playing football. So Washington escaped with that one, but they've won 6 games in a row. And the fact is, they found a way to win the game yesterday, and Dallas found a way not to win the game yesterday, which the Cowboys still have a tendency to do. Great comeback for Dallas to force the overtime against New Orleans, because they're down 14 points late in that game. But to lose it in kind of the way they lost it, they had the first shot to score in the overtime, didn't get it done, and then you have that crazy fumble, and that's the end of the game. Going on the road to face a team that's won 6 in a row, I think it's going to be really tough for the Redskins. And I still give Shanahan a pretty big edge over Jason Garrett.
Well, I think you said it might be really tough for the Redskins. I think you meant Dallas.
I meant Dallas, yeah.
The problem here is this. Washington beat them in Dallas. So we have the natural rivalry, which these two teams do hate each other. And you have the revenge from the earlier loss. And in that game, Murray, the running back, didn't play for Dallas. No. He's now playing. Dallas is a pretty good football team. And but they're not a great football team, and they're terrible at home. But they were playing yesterday. They were playing one of the worst defenses in all of football. And even in the overtime when they had possession, they couldn't go down and do anything. So Washington has got great momentum. They got great chemistry. They've been, 6 straight wins already now?
Yep.
They started the year off pretty rough.
Now they're 9-6.
Yeah, 3-6, 9-6. Here, RG3 got hit a couple weeks ago when he missed the game. They had a pretty good backup come in there and play well for them, and they won. Last week, he was not himself against Philadelphia. He still won the game. He still played well, but he's very conventional.
Maybe not a bad idea.
This is going to be an easier RG3 to defend without his ability to scramble like he was before. You're going to have some bad weather in Washington. High winds are predicted. The day before, it's going to rain quite a bit. Whether the field gets a little sloppy, I don't know. And Dallas has the revenge. This is not going to be, I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Washington. Because this one, Dallas needs to win to get in. So this is for the marbles here. This is it.
Yep.
This is it.
Well, what'll be interesting is this. I haven't even looked at the lines yet. Where do they have the number in that game?
Well, there's one place that has a 3.5, but it's plus to the Dogs. So it's really, if you look at it, it's between 3 and 3.5. That's kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Excuse me. That's a good line. And by the way, when I say I haven't looked at the lines, I mean that because I take off. I know. It's like, well, wait. What if there's an early line? You're like, so be it. I take Monday and Tuesday away from the NFL completely, as far as handicapping the following week. I just, have opinions, but I won't get into the math until Wednesday. So I haven't done any of the math coming out of the game, and I can't say what I'll end up doing this weekend. But I will tell you this. I don't think I want to lay points in that game. It looks like a game that could go to the wire. It certainly looks like if a game looks to me like a one-possession game, I won't ever lay the points. Good example of that was Cincinnati-Pittsburgh on Sunday. I really thought this is a one-possession game. So I'm either going to take the points in a game like that, or I'll leave it alone. And that's kind of the way I look at the Dallas-Washington game before actually doing the numbers on it. It looks like a one-possession football game. I don't think Dallas is going to get blown out, and I don't necessarily, but I don't know that they're going to win the game either. So it may be a Dallas or nothing situation for me, but don't chisel that in stone yet. I do know that and Green Bay, Minnesota are the 2 games worth watching this weekend. The rest of them, tread carefully is all I can say, and read as much as you can early on and throughout the week to get an indication of what coaches are going to be doing. Because there will be some playoff teams who coast this weekend. And there'll be others who don't want to lose the momentum. For instance, Green Bay's in a big game anyway, but, I don't know, you could look at Cincinnati or Baltimore, who both had good games yesterday, and say, well, they don't want to lose their momentum. Make sure and get as much information as you can before you get involved in these games. And you might even get something good out there. Who knows? San Diego, it's going to be Norv Turner's last game. I think the team really likes Norv Turner. And I think San Diego's probably going to play real hard this weekend in what will be the finale for a coach that they like. Actually, San Diego's actually played pretty hard the last few weeks. And they've had 2 very good games in the last 3 weeks. So, even though that there may be something where you can find some value, even though San Diego can't do any better than 7-9, Jim, they had a really good game, really good, at Pittsburgh. And they had a good game yesterday. They had a bad one in between. But that may be a team that, even though they have nothing to play for, plays hard.
Very, very interesting about this San Diego team. I think Norv Turner's a pretty good offensive coordinator. I don't know that he's a good head coach. I don't think he is. And that may be because he's just too nice a guy. I mean, maybe that's the reason. Maybe you have to be a SOB to get these people to play. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But he's a nice guy, and I think you actually have spoken to him, haven't you, a couple times in
your radio stuff? We do Chargers training camp every year, and he's always been very accommodating.
Yeah, and people that know him say he's a nice guy. They like he's a good man. For some reason, this team always plays well when they're eliminated. I don't know what the hell it is. I mean, when they need to win, they can't do anything. But when they're eliminated, they're very dangerous. It's a very strange phenomenon.
Yep.
This weekend, Dave, I don't know. I do have this. I'm pretty excited about this Christmas Day package I have, the High Roller NBA Powerhouse Total, and the marquee TV game of the month at JimFeist.tv. That is JimFeist.tv. My bowl game, which I'm really excited about, goes on Friday. I'd like you all to call this number, 1-866-841-1655. You do not want to miss this game. 1-866-841-1655. Dave, you got some big stuff, and I know you've been red hot.
Yeah, it just blazing hot the last week. I had a rough stretch at the end of November into the first couple weeks of December. I just was spinning my wheels and actually losing, which does happen. We all have. Anybody who tells you they never lose in this business is okay. They're not. You know what? I'll tell you what. The people who say that in this business, they're not betting their own games. Because if you bet your own games, you know when you're losing and when you're not, all right? But I'm sure not losing right now. And last week was absolute monster week. Monster. It was one of the best weeks I've ever had, actually. So I'm pretty excited moving forward. I'm going to do half my birthday special. Because doing the birthday special is too expensive now. So we're going to cut it in half. You do the math. $30. And I'll extend this to include the rest of December. You get all my action plays for the entire month of January, plus the end of December. All my action plays in all sports for $30. It's less than $1 a day. Well less than $1 a day. And you get my bowl game of the year included in that. So, make sure and take advantage of this because you can't call it a better time than right now. 1-866-896-1629. 1-866-896-1629. And don't forget, you can get free plays every day from both Jim and myself. One from Jim, one from me. On your text line. It's as simple as can be. Text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131 for Jim's free play. And text Cokin, COKIN, to 313131 for my free play. And it's easy. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't even have to make a phone call. Just, there it is. It shows up on a text message, and you got your free play for the day. And the free plays have been good. So I think that's it. Now, we'll be back later in the week with our bowl edition as we look at some of the college bowl games and with a full-scale pro line for the weekend's NFL games. That's it. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're recording this on
Today
Christmas.
we're doing this show on Monday,
Right.
and tomorrow is Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you have a great day. And of course, we got New Year's to look forward to this coming weekend. We're rocking and rolling for bowl games, NFL games. Playoffs are coming up. It's exciting. But tomorrow, enjoy the day with your families, and peace be with you. Take care.
Later.